Welcome to Nine Oaks Church YouTube channel. I'm Pastor Tom Willis. I'm glad you're watching. Our study is John chapter 18, verses 15 through 27. John chapter 18 recounts Peter's 3 denials, fulfilling Jesus' prophecy. John's gospel emphasizes Jesus' divinity. Jesus' arrest was managed by Roman soldiers, which prevented mob violence. He was taken to Annas. Most of the disciples fled. Though Annas' family held high priestly positions, he remained the true authority. The Sanhedrin, composed of 72 members from different sects, wielded religious and political influence. Annas, a Sadducee, rejected key beliefs like angels and resurrection, but he had been the high priest and was still considered high priest by the Jews, although his son-in-law was considered high priest by the Romans. We begin reading at verse 15 and 16. Simon Peter was following Jesus, and so was another disciple. That would be John, of course. Now that disciple was known to the high priest and entered with Jesus into the court of the high priest. But Peter was standing at the door outside. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the doorkeeper and brought Peter in. Simon Peter and another disciple, John most likely, followed Jesus after his arrest. John, known to the high priest, was granted entry and later allowed Peter inside. Unlike John, Peter was a fisherman, not familiar with such circles. This serves as a reminder not to judge fellow believers for going where others cannot, and some may enter without facing temptation. Verse 17, then the slave girl who kept the door said to Peter, "You are not also one of the man's disciples, are you?" And he said, "I am not." Now the slaves and the officers were standing there, having made a charcoal fire. We're reading verse 18. For it was cold, and they were warming themselves. And Peter was also with them, standing and warming himself. Peter warmed himself by the fire in the courtyard, surrounded by soldiers and onlookers. As he entered, the doorkeeper asked if he was one of Jesus' disciples, but Peter denied it and said, "I am not." Reading verse 19 and 20 and 21, and 22 and 23. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and about his teaching. Jesus answered him, "I have spoken openly to the world. I always taught in the synagogues and in the temple where all the Jews come together. I spoke nothing in secret. Why do you question me? Question those who have heard what I spoke to them. They know what I said." When he had said this, one of the officers standing nearby struck Jesus, saying, "Is that the way you answer the high priest?" Jesus answered him, saying, "If I have spoken wrongly, testify of the wrong. But if rightly, why do you strike me?" Jesus' trial began, revealing several legal irregularities. Though Roman soldiers assisted in his arrest, he was taken to Annas instead of Pilate. Mosaic law required trials to occur in daylight. Barred nighttime questioning prohibited mistreatment before a guilty verdict. Verdicts had to be delayed by a day, and trials were to be held in a formal Sanhedrin court, not in the chief priest's residence. Jesus asserted his innocence, emphasizing his public ministry and calling for witnesses to confirm his actions. So, verse 24, Annas, sent him down to Caiaphas, the high priest. Annas, the driving force behind Jesus' arrest, sent him bound, still bound, to Caiaphas, the high priest, his son-in-law, for further questioning. He appeared to be the mastermind behind the plot. Verse 25, 26, and 27. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself, so they said to him, "You're not also one of his disciples, are you?" And he denied it and said, "I am not." One of the slaves of the high priest, being a relative of the one whose ear Peter had cut off, said, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter denied it again, and immediately a rooster crowed. Peter stood by the fireplace in the palace, warming himself as others accused him of being a disciple of Jesus. Twice he denied it. Then a servant who had witnessed Jesus' arrest and was related to the man whose ear Peter had cut off confronted him, and Peter denied it a third time, and immediately a rooster crowed. Jesus had predicted that. True faith requires sincere obedience and service, not just church attendance or Bible reading. Jesus challenges believers to assess their spiritual impact and trust Him fully. Accepting Christ, renewing faith, or seeking baptism is urgent. Delay is not an option. Though sinless, Jesus bore judgment for all, but those who reject Him will face their own judgment. Your prayer may be very simple, like this one. Father, I know I'm a sinner. I believe your Son, Jesus, God the Son, lived, died, and rose again for my sins. I choose to follow you. Take control of my life. Thank you for hearing my prayer. Amen. Whatever your need, make it right with God today. If you made a decision for Christ today, I would love to hear from you. Nine Lakes Church meets at 11 a.m. on Sundays at 32924 Pacific Highway South in Federal Way, Washington. If you live in or visit Federal Way, Washington, we would love to have you worship with us. Our email address is nlbc1960@gmail.com. Find a church in your area that preaches and teaches the Bible and attend regularly. Thank you for watching this video. Until next time, may God bless you.